Hello, my spooky friends. I'm John, your host, and welcome to another episode of Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And my streak, ladies, is keep on going. I am undefeated. I'm the champion of great guests. And no pressure on both of you, but I know it's going to be a great show. I have Jen and Rachel from Sinister Sisters Paranormal. Welcome, Jen and Rachel.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, no, I am lucky to have both of you. So, let's start out right off the gate. When I saw this, I thought like you were like witches or something and was going to do something really bad to me if I asked you to. I'm not really sure if I say no, I don't want him on the show. Like I would wake up in the morning, I'd be completely bald with a bunch of marks on my head and turn into a frog. I don't know what the hell's going on. So let's talk about what inspired you to do Sinister Sisters Paranormal. Say that really fast.
I know, it's a tongue twister there.
Yeah, so who came up with the name and what inspired you, Jen and Rachel, to do this?
Well, I think it was kind of a collaborative effort between Jen and I when we were coming up with the name. I think we always referred to ourselves as Spooky Sisters. Nice. And, that's kind of a common, like spooky is kind of a common, and like Spooky Sisters is probably very common out there, I think we felt. And so we wanted something a little different. And I don't know, we were just thinking of our love for like horror movies and kind of all things kind of creepy, spooky, paranormally. So that's when we thought about Sinister that came up.
I love it. Jen, anything to add about that?
No, yeah, same thing. Like we were just kind of going back and forth for a while with names. And when Rachel, she's like, what about Sinister Sisters? I was like, love it.
I
love it. I was like, done deal. So
I love it too. Can you guys divulge some of the names that didn't hit the mark? Because sometimes they're kind of funny. Let's be honest. Like Ghost Sisters or like, I don't know.
No, I don't even remember. I was stuck on some word that I couldn't even tell you. I don't something behind the veil, Bell Witch. Who knows? Something.
Okay. That might
a little long.
That might confuse you with like a wedding thing. So people call you and be like, Rachel and Jen, I'm looking for a new wedding dress. And you're like, what? No, what?
Yeah. Not that veil.
I know.
Wrong veil, people. Wrong veil.
And it was Bell Witch, but I was like, but we could be like BELLE. Like Bell, not BELL. I don't know. It's been months now. So
okay. So you guys were like literally maybe over a glass of wine or over your favorite beverage, just going
lunchtime at work.
Yeah, lunchtime at work. Yeah.
Now you know the secret to our lunches.
Yeah.
You guys, everyone else is sitting there eating lunch. You guys are eating lunch and thinking, let me see. No, veil. No, dark. Oh.
Yeah.
People are looking at you like, are they all right?
Oh, they all know by now.
Oh, for the right. It's cats out of the bag, people. Just don't make any sudden movements. I'm not sure what Jen and Rachel are going to do to me. That's awesome. So I always ask paranormal investigators this because obviously you're doing something that is, and I know this is going to sound weird, but brave, in my opinion, because there are things out there that we just don't know. Let's be honest. They're just not. Now, you may say like 90% of the cases or 98% of the cases are, kind of explain it, kind of, whatever. But there's that 2% where you're like, I don't know what's going on, or maybe a little higher, where I don't know what's going to happen to me, what I've talked to paranormal investigators, and the reason I mention that, who have said they have literally been possessed by something. Something's possessed them.
Mm-hmm.
And they have said, okay, what do we do? And we kind of get out, by the way, really quickly, my favorite story is from 305 Paranormal, Jen and Mondo. I'll do a shout out for them. They're great friends. They actually, I've never heard this before in my life. So supposedly, Mondo, their husband and wife, and they do investigations. Supposedly, after an investigation, Mondo had seen shadows around his car, like literal shadows, like almost attacking his car. And his wife, Jen, said, and I'm not kidding, swear to God, meet me at Walmart and I will cleanse you. Beat that, ladies. Beat that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't had so far too much run-in with dark or evil presences. I mean, we just at the last location we were at, maybe we had a little bit of we all felt something kind of heavy and and kind of uneasy. Okay. And when we kind of let everyone know on the investigation ahead of time, if ever you're feeling either not quite yourself or uneasy or unsafe for any reason, let us know. We will leave the floor, or wherever we're at, we'll leave that spot and get out. Yeah. And that's how I think the majority of us were feeling in that particular location. And we were kind of okay, it's time to go.
All right. Hold that thought. We will get to that. But let's back up here. Jen, I'm going to start with you. Mm-hmm. Tell me about what interests you in the paranormal, and then when was your first paranormal experience?
We love that.
Oh, boy. Oh, she just laughed. Oh, this should be good.
I've just always been interested in anything, spooky, paranormal, ghostly, scary. It just kind of growing up, it was my birthday is in October. I was actually born the day before Halloween. And, so my mom always made a point of it to make a really big deal out of Halloween. And it was just kind of something that we just celebrated every year. And we still do to this day. I'm going to be 42 this year. And my mom still throws a Halloween birthday party for me every single year.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. She's actually here with me today. So if you hear giggling in the background, that's my mom.
Okay. Not a ghost. It's not a ghost, people. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not a ghost. It's my mom.
She's alive, people. She's alive. Okay.
There she is.
She's like, God, can I sit in and just watch? I'm like, yes, but you have to be quiet. That happened. But just always, I've always just been drawn to it. And then when I met Rachel, and it just kind of came up, as our friendship progressed and whatnot, that she was a paranormal investigator, I was like, that is freaking cool. I didn't even know that was something you could do, if you weren't on a TV show or something. So, and she, introduced me to this new world, and I got to go on my first investigations with her. And my very first experience, legit, I think what hooked me, want to learn more. I love learning about the history of the places that we're at. And it's just nice. I think that when you have a paranormal experience and you have justification that what you saw or what you felt or what you heard was real and not just a thing of your imagination, it's kind of scary, but then it's kind of well, why? The why behind it, and wanting to learn more about it, I think, is what has continually drawn me to wanting to continue to do this and learn more about it. But we were doing an investigation at the Old Stone Jail in Franklin, Kentucky, and the historical building. And we were at the historical building, second floor, and quiet. There was no way that there could have been any type of, noise, obstruction. Yeah, it was just us. And I heard back in the day, how you have those jewelry boxes that open up and some of them play music.
Oh, right.
I heard that, like a jewelry box tune. And I kind of looked up and Rachel's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, oh my God, you heard it? And we were with other people, and even Justin and Greg, who actually are, from another team, but they've become really good friends of ours through this process. They heard it too. And I was like, that is insane. Like, we have to try to debunk this now. Like, sure. I want to know if what I heard is really what I heard. And then a couple minutes later, we heard it again, but from the opposite end of the building. And we just scoured that entire floor, and there was no way. There was nothing.
We couldn't find a radio. We couldn't find a jewelry box. We couldn't find anything that would be making this tune.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all heard it. So that was like my first legitimate experience. And ever since then, I've just been hooked. So, yeah.
That is a lot to take in for your first experience, right?
That was the only part of it.
That was the only part of it.
Well, so
I think the more interesting thing happened later.
No, but I was getting freaked out when I talked about this one.
Well, okay.
So yeah, we were at the jail. We were in the like where the residents lived that, looked over the jail. And we were all sitting in a circle, and there, out of nowhere, there was something like tapping the cabinet that
in
was
response,
in response to questions. Like, and I was trying to ignore it. I didn't even want to acknowledge that it was happening. Yeah. And then I think Rachel and Justin were like, Jen, do you hear that? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and then they asked another question, and it tapped again, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, I know.
We're like, we asked her, we're like, is it coming from behind you? Because she was sitting in front of this cabinet that had like kind of a glass front to it. And, she was like, yes. Because she like could hear it like right behind her head. So
there was no denying it. Like,
oh wow,
that was it. It was legitimate, amazing. And ever since then, it's just.
I know, you were like, I need a break. Yeah,
I did. Yeah. Stepped outside the building. I was like, I don't even know if I want to go back.
Absolutely.
But then you were. Then you're like, yes, I want to go back in. Let's do this. It was crazy.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great experience. Something that will stick with you, right?
Forever.
Yeah. You always take it. Yeah. So, Rachel, same question. What interested you in paranormal, and what's your first experience?
Gosh, I've had a few experiences. I think that what interests me, was just having experience when I was so young. So I think I've always been maybe a little more in tune than than I guess maybe the typical person. I don't know. I haven't figured that out until recently, being more of an investigator. I think that I've learned I'm a little more sensitive than I even knew.
You are.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I had an experience of seeing my what I thought was my grandfather when I was about 10 years old. So he had passed away, and it was like, maybe, I don't even know. It's shortly after he passed, and I was staying at my grandmother's house, and I came out from just, sleeping that night. I came out of her bedroom into the living room, and there I saw what looked like a person standing in the curtains. And, I wigged out, it was like, oh my God, grandma, there's somebody, in the curtains. Right. And she said, it's okay, Rachel. It's just Grandpa. I'll tell him to go, and he won't bother you anymore. And then she basically just called out loud. She said, Grandpa, you're scaring your granddaughter. It's time to go. And after that, it just kind of like it disappeared.
Yeah. So was Grandpa a nice grandpa, or was he,
absolutely. Right. Yeah. He was definitely a nice grandpa.
Okay. I would, because again, sometimes grandmas and grandpas are not nice, and might have, maybe he teased you, maybe he, would make fun of you or something when you were little, because sometimes grandpas and grandmas are not what you think. Like my grandma and grandpa were, oh boy. They were farmers and they grew up, shut your mouth, you're a kid, like, get out of my face kind of thing. But to their credit, they raised 6 kids on a farmer's salary, and come on, after a while,
That's a
you're
hard
like,
life. Yeah, exactly.
but
I'm
it
done.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't close. And you hear those stories where maybe your uncle or somebody's done some unfortunately terrible things to you as a child. And I had a couple paranormal investigators on there who did talk about that they did have some not very nice relatives, and they showed up a few times to show, hey, I'm still here. But they dealt with them, and that's good for them, right? So, but I'm glad that that's a good thing. So let me go back here to something. When you talk about you're at lunch and everything, do you, when you're talking about investigations and everything, do you ever like mention it to other people? Like you said, it's kind of out of the bag, right? So people know that you're investigators and so on and so forth. What is their reaction to it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, some of them are like, don't you get scared? Aren't you afraid? And it's kind of like, not really. Yeah. I mean, I haven't had like necessarily like a negative experience. I think it's always been sort of enlightening and positive, and I definitely walk away wanting to know more. Not to say that there weren't sort of locations like the last one we were at when we had that experience in that certain area. There's definitely like I've been to quite, I guess, how many now? Four different jails, prisons. And there were definitely, you walk in the space and you feel like, I felt like I'm not wanted there. And definitely get that feeling, but it's not like, it wasn't like totally scary. I didn't like the part where at Brushy, where in the hole.
Yeah.
I got touched, like, I got touched on the butt there. So
okay,
that was kind of that was like, nope, not allowed.
Let's talk about that. So let's talk about, you guys have mentioning, teasing my audience here a little bit about some investigations and stuff. So let's talk about jails. Let's just go into jails. Jails are notorious, right? Because it's full of, well, not the best people, but also people who may be wrongfully convicted, right? So imagine that. Imagine you're in jail and you can't get out, and you're in this hellscape every day, knowing you're innocent. Everybody in jail says they're innocent, but literally, you're innocent. That's kind of two different things, right? So let's talk about your experience. Let's go to, and please forgive me. You're both beautiful women, and I get it. You're in a jail, and there's guys in there are going to do some things. So, tell me about that experience where you said you were touched, Rachel. Was that in a bad way? What happened?
No, it just, I mean, I literally felt like something just, touched the side of my, the side.
There we go. See, that's what I'm talking about.
We were down, and it was at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, which is notoriously infamous for a lot of not nice people, but like you say, there were a lot of people that were put in a jail that didn't do much of anything at all, maybe because they had to steal food to survive. So there were some pretty sad and circumstances for people being there, and we were in this one area that they nicknamed the hole, because literally you walk in this building and you go downstairs and it's to like this basement, but even kind of like to the side of the basement there's these it's like I think three cells, and it's literally in this dark, dank, kind of nasty, gross, wet place. And there were 3 investigators that were kind of like inside the cells themselves, trying to just kind of sitting there and see what they feel. And then there was me and another person who was standing kind of like in the, I don't know what you call it, like small hallway in front of the jail. And I was behind him. And then there were some investigators, including Jen, that were kind of like out in the, I guess, front area to that. That's the only way I could
into the hole.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't go in the hole. You were braver than I was. Nope, I wouldn't.
You're like, I'm good. Okay. I'm not going to go in the hole.
I hear you.
But I was like, I'm a little too curious. I don't know, maybe for my own good, but
yeah, right.
But, you know, I was standing there and I was just kind of like listening to them, like the other investigators just like call and ask questions and, you know, hoping to get a response, you know, either audibly or something on their EVP or, you know, on their camcorder or something. And I was behind this gentleman who was recording them and there was nobody behind me. And all of a sudden I just felt like something just like touch my butt. And then I was like, nope, not having it, not allowed.
So did you run out or were you just stern?
I just walked out of there, but I didn't even run. I was just like, I just walked out saying, nope. And Jen's like, what happened?
With a purpose though, Rachel. You were like, nope.
Oh, yikes.
Nope.
Yikes. Yeah.
I was like, not allowed, not going to happen. Not cool with that. That's what I kept saying.
Yeah, you're not the first nor the last of my female investigators on the paranormal team who have had a little handsy ghost, which I guess should be expected. It's not right, but remember, some of these, I mean, they're guys who grew up, maybe this is a ghost from the 1800s. And this is the way you treated women. And if a woman would do anything to say, no, they might get a little, you know, rough, unfortunately. But that's I don't mean to laugh, but that's kind of funny. You're kind of like, hey, whoa, pow.
We have a joke that's probably inappropriate, but it's still funny because you know, we were in the hole and you know, I got touched on the butt in the hole, but not in the butt.
Well, there you go. Rachel. There we go. See, now that's a great story. That's a great story.
Yeah, it does make for a great story, and we'll never forget.
Yeah, and like I said, you're not the only one. It's happened to many of my men and women. So I should not leaving out the men. Men have been touched too in inappropriate places. Which I'm like, I'm sorry, but that would freak me out. I'd be on Jen's team. I'd be like, no,
not okay. I'm out.
Yeah, no, I'm good. But
that was like, it kind of went back to like an experience when I was a teenager too, where I was in a friend's house who her house was like reportedly haunted, and her father was telling us of the experiences of how when she was younger and they thought she had just an imaginary friend because she would constantly be talking to someone in the room with her. But they said they started to believe it when things started moving, when things started disappearing, like objects disappearing that they know they put in a location and it was just gone and they couldn't figure out who did it. But he was telling us all those stories as we were kind of like in the living room standing around in a circle. I was kind of towards the end. There was really no one around me. And he's telling the stories and something just went deep, deep, deep on my shoulder. And I went, okay.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was like, I was about 15, close to 16. And I was like, okay, I have to go. I was like, it's not cool. And I asked the person next to me, I was like, did you touch me? And she was like, no, I'm nowhere near you. Like, what do you mean touched you? And I was like, okay, all right, not happening.
No, thank you.
But it was those kind of things that kind of like, I really feel like shaped me in a way.
Sure.
And like, you know, got me more and more interested in wanting to read and like learn about the paranormal. And really, I didn't get to investigate like legitimately till I moved here. I was born and raised in California, so I moved to Tennessee in 2019, and then I ended up running into a girl who was a paranormal investigator on a team, and I was like, how do I join?
A little overeager. Good.
Like, I just had to. It took a minute to like get involved, but it was one of the best things I did, I think.
Absolutely.
Brought me to where I'm at. So
yeah, absolutely. To have those experiences, really shape you and really shape the way you think about life in general. And not to get off a sidetrack, but to think about when you die, what's going to happen, right? A lot of people have a lot of different ways of looking at it, but you can say, well, I've had these experiences, and when you do get near that time, you can be like, I don't know, I would be a little more, and I've told this to the paranormal investigators, a little more at ease, knowing that maybe I can look over my children or look over people I love or whatever. Maybe that's a possibility, right?
Yep.
I don't know.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like why we do it. I mean, I think we seek the answers of like, what is there on the other side? So I think collaboratively, like all of us coming together, we may not ever have the answers, but, maybe we can formulate a better like working theory.
Sure.
A better idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start out here. When you do an investigation, let's start from first thing. What do you do when you're going to investigate something? What's your first step?
If it's a location, we're usually doing a little bit of research on the location. We want to kind of know the history and what we've talked about. I think Jen and I we've had conversations about how, that we're learning that it's just not the building itself, but perhaps what has occurred on the land, or like the makeup of the land that may have something to do with why, energies remain.
Yeah. That's a big thing to find out what you're getting yourself into, right? Kind of
absolutely
a darker history, or maybe just a regular history, whatever that might mean, right?
Yeah, like we learned about the last location at South Pittsburgh Hospital, that the hospital was there, for a while, but before then, there was Native American people who were on the land. That land they were, sort of forcibly removed from the land. And then the Civil War happened, and there was battles that were known to have happened relatively close, if not, written history around then can kind of be sketchy, but, they definitely have had, seen Civil War soldiers reportedly on the property too. So when we walked in, it's kind of like, well, yes, what you're seeing is a building that looked like a hospital that, was a hospital, but it's not just that. It's not just the hospital that really was the on the land. So we can't, when we're investigating, we might just, we have to look at more than just, could there be patients, doctors, nurses there? Could there also be, Native Americans? Could there be Civil War? And we also learned that the property also sits upon limestone and also a natural spring that runs through the property. So, there are theories is like that may help, either keep the energy there or help amplify the energy, something like that. So
yes, and that is a big theory that is a very strange in a lot of areas. That's very true. There is a town in Illinois called Galena, Illinois. It's one of the most haunted towns in the Midwest. It is on top of limestone and underneath a river. So a lot of people speculate that this has something to do with the heightened activity in that town and why it's been haunted for as long as people can remember.
What was the name of the town again?
Galena, Illinois.
Okay. I was going to ask because my husband's was born and raised in Chicago area. So
there you go.
He may be.
It might trip something for you. It is a touristy destination too, because it is stuck back in the 1800s. So if you like that kind of feeling, they have not changed a lot. So it's very touristy. It's something that, a lot of people will go on the weekends and, go to a bed and breakfast and just hang out and stuff. And a lot of paranormal investigators will go on the weekend and they'll check out. There's a number of buildings in the area that have some shady past as well as some very nice things about it. So now, one of the biggest things I always ask paranormal investigators is obviously respect, right? When you go to a site, what do you do? Now, you're setting up your equipment, your whatever. What's the first thing when you enter the building? What do you say to kind of make the spirits feel like, okay, these people aren't coming in and I don't know.
You want to take it away, Jen?
It's weird, right? To see someone, right, come into your place and you're like, what the hell's going on, right?
Yep. So we have kind of like our core set of, I don't know if you call them values or rules or just kind of how we like to do things and
guidelines to investigate.
Guidelines. Yeah. We're always respectful and we always introduce ourselves and always explain why we're there. And we have everybody go around, say their name. And, we're just like, hey, we're just here. We just want to talk. Kind of explaining what the equipment is. Cause, if there's somebody from, like you said, 1800s, right? They're not going to recognize anything. They're not going to know what anything is.
Yeah, the technology, they're going to be like, what the?
Letting them know there's nothing to be scared of, explaining what we're there for and what we're doing and just have a conversation. They were just people. They were just people like we are. And we just treat them like we treat anybody else that we come into contact with. Yeah. So, I think that if you put off that positive energy, you're going to get that positive energy. You're going to get that back. Yeah. So
I've never understood, I used to like Zach Baggins. Now I can't stand him. Anyway, but just yell at people. Hey, punch me in the face. Okay, I will punch you in the face. Bam! Oh, you meant the ghost.
If something punched me in the face, I'd be like, Rachel, did you get that?
Did you get that on camera?
Get that on camera. So I think we're all in agreement that Zach Baggins is, oh boy.
Yeah, a little extreme.
But I know, you have to understand why he does some of those things, I think. And a lot of that is because he's on TV and you have to make for a good show and make for dramatic and, all of those things. So.
I get it, but come on. I mean, all right. So anyway, so when you're investigating, you talked about earlier, Rachel, about when you're in a place where you feel like you're not wanted. Now, talk about that a little bit, when you had that experience.
Yeah, well, I can kind of go back to like one of the investigations we did at, we did one, it's called, Historic Scott County Jail. It's a small little jail in East Tennessee. But there is a area that was on like the third level and it was, I guess, considered at the time, like, maximum security there. And as we walked into the cells, I was like, all of a sudden I just got this like overwhelm of like, I was like, they don't like women here, do they? And, the Miranda, who is one of the owners that runs the Scott County Jail, was giving us a tour and she goes, no, they don't. And I was like, do they pull women's hair here? And she was like, yeah, that's one of the reports. And I was like, okay, like, I don't like that last cell. Don't want to like it just felt that like just negative, like just come at you to be like, okay, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing we tell people is like, if you're feeling those kind of feelings, like if you're feeling that overwhelming, like listen to that, like honor that. It's because something's telling you something. It's your intuition, if you want to call it that, or it's just your feelings. Like, you know, you have to listen to those. And that's what we always tell people that go out and investigate with us is you have to really respect what your body is telling you.
Right.
And so that's absolutely what we do. I mean, we had a girl that was with us on the last investigation who definitely got overwhelmed. And, you know, we asked her some questions like, do you feel like that's your emotion or do you feel like that's not your emotion? And she was kind of like, well, I feel like it's not my emotions. So like, I feel maybe some part of it was like, well, is it making me feel this way? Because she was like, all of a sudden she got this immense, like, you know, really like panicked sort of, but like in the verge of tears. And she was like,
she was going to cry.
Yeah, she really did. Wow. And so we were like, do you want to leave the space? Do you feel like this is, you know, too much for you? And she was like, yes, I need to go. And so we were like, all right, let's get out of here. So that's what we always, you know, lean on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very, very smart because there can be, we were talking offline and I said, there have been paranormal investigators I have interviewed who believe they were possessed by something because immediately they couldn't breathe. They just felt like almost like somebody like just making them shrink almost. It's really hard to explain. And you know, they've, you know, had to get them out of there as soon as possible because they just felt like something's just dark, like a heavy jacket, right? Just on top of you and just shrinking you. And you just start hyperventilating and freaking out. And I thought, oh man, okay. Yeah. So that would be very, very scary. I'm glad that neither one of you have experienced that, and I hope you do not experience that because that would not be fun.
No, and we do take some steps to make sure that we are sort of protecting ourselves, you know, before and after an investigation. So, you know, like you were saying about the going to Walmart and clearing the energy there, clearing the energy there. I mean, you know, that's what we do after the investigation. We're like, okay, sage, and we just, and before we even walk out of a space, we're like, you have to stay.
Yeah, you are not welcome.
You know, thank you for talking. Yeah, we always thank them for talking to us and giving us these experiences.
Yeah.
But we're like, this is your home. You're not to follow us home. And then when we walk out, it's kind of like, we'll go before we even get in our cars and just really like sage ourselves and again say, you know, any energy that might be attached to me, you cannot come with me. You know, this is we are done communicating.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. Has a spirit ever attached itself to either one of you and you've brought it home?
Nope.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. What would happen if that did happen? What would either one of you do?
I mean,
I don't know.
I would definitely approach it almost the same way where I'll be like, you're not welcome in this space. This is my space. This is my safe space. This is my home. And I'd probably do every sort of thing I possibly could, you know, to like, sage my space, cleanse my space as much as possible, you know, protect it. But I do that to begin with. So I do have that little bit of like witchiness. So
see, I was right.
You were slightly right.
I'm slightly right, but I was still right. Anyway, when you're in these hospitals, a lot of time unfortunately, there are children who did die, usually tuberculosis or some other, because just medical science was not even close to helping those children. But you're both women, so I always ask this again of female investigators. They see mom, right? Or a nice lady. So guess what? I'm a little girl. I'm scared. I'm caught with maybe some bad spirits in here. I see either one of you. I'm going home with you. So does that ever enter your mind when you're maybe going to the children's ward of a hospital?
Didn't before,
Does
but
that
it
ever
will
enter your
now.
mind? I got you now. I got both of you now. Thanks a lot, John.
Well, I think we've encountered, most of the time we've encountered are a lot of children's spirits. I think we encountered some at Old Stone Jail. We encountered them at South Pittsburgh too. That's some of the evidence we caught on thermal was definitely a whole on another investigator when we had mentioned before, Justin and Greg, who other investigators, they come along and Justin is very sensitive and connected, psychically to spirits and stuff. And we had on thermal camera in front of it was down a hallway with patient rooms, and in front of every room there was it looked like a person, a figure of a person standing in every doorway. But you can see when we're on thermal camera, a person is hot, the temperature shows in the 96, 97, 98 degrees, and these were all in blue, and they were much colder than anything around than the surrounding areas. I mean, you could even see in the doorway, because it was hot and humid inside the building, so everywhere was pretty warm. It was easily in the 80s, maybe mid to upper 80s in that building. And there were all these blue and when Justin went down the hallway first, they came out and they sort of surrounded him, but they were much smaller than him. And he kept saying as he was walking down there, these are children. And he had definitely this kind of personality where children are attracted to him. So it was really kind of an awesome, unique experience that I think that we'll forever remember.
Yeah, that definitely is. I've never heard of that one. That's a good one. So what type of equipment do you use?
Oh gosh, we use everything.
Oh, by the way, please explain to my spooky friends if you guys get a little technical. I was talking to Jen a little offline earlier, because sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? I don't get it.
Yeah, so we use regular, cameras that are using IR, which is the infrared light, so that we can see at night. That's technically night vision cameras. We'll use, a few static cameras, and then we'll walk around with a camera. We use digital voice recorders, hoping we capture, EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon. That occurs kind of in the white noise that you hear. We'll use spirit boxes, sometimes apps, depending on who's investigating with us, but we have both. Thermal camera, which is now my new best friend. It was my birthday present. Awesome, right? It was a birthday present that my husband gave me.
Nice.
And it's paid for itself tenfold. In the past 2 investigations, we've definitely caught full-bodied apparitions on those things. It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
But we'll use other things REM pods, which basically, detects an EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, that maybe the theory is that's what ghosts made of or can communicate with.
Yeah, the K2.
Yep. Same thing. We have the paranormal tripwire, which again is kind of a sensor that goes off with lights, that if something interferes with the field, This one has like a laser light. So if something like motion wise comes across the field and breaks the laser, that it will go off. So I'm trying to think what else. We have the paranormal music box, which is kind of like, that's a newer little gadget I got that plays a tune. It's essentially the same thing, like a motion detector, picks up on anything that interferes with that EMF field around it, and it will go off in the mute as a sound like a music. So that was kind of new. I'm trying to think of what else we have. Cat balls.
Yeah.
Those are some of our favorites.
Those are fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can really, it doesn't take. Yeah, I've got like 18 of them now. So I'm like, I got them. My whole theory was I was going to line like a whole hallway in the hospital, and it was going to be like every few feet I was going to put a cat ball, which I did.
Yeah,
up in the third
lit
floor.
Up that one hallway on the third floor.
Wow.
It was going off like crazy.
Yeah, I think
that was a little nuts because we used them throughout the building and it didn't go off like it did on the third floor.
No.
And it was interesting. It lit up the one that was the furthest away from us. I was like, can you light up the one that's closer to us? And it would flash the one that's farther away. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Thanks a lot.
I know.
So there's something you do that I haven't really seen. Well, let me get to this first. Do you ever do home, or is it just, and why? Why not?
I think that's, and this is kind of leans back a little bit to the experience I had with the other team I was on, but I think that they had this similar philosophy that, residential cases can be very complex because it's hard to tease out, if it's the individual, that homeowner that may be, having something, maybe a mental crisis, how we're not professional enough in that area to tease that out. You know what I mean? And being women, a lot of times, like a lot of our investigations have been a lot of women on there. We certainly don't feel safe going to a home where, our safety could be called into question.
Right.
So I think that that's why we choose to kind of stay away from
residential.
Residential cases. So
which is, it's funny because I talked to, like I said, a number of paranormal investigators, and it's, some do, some don't, but the ones who do, they have licensed psychologists, they have licensed therapists, they have like all these experts. So if they go to someone's house and they're like, this person has some type of mental challenge and we can see it right away, let's help them, which is a great thing. But understandable, that person's going to be like, oh, you're leaving? No, there's demons everywhere in this. And you're like, okay, let's do a quick sweep. And you're like, okay, well, this person obviously needs help. Let's help this person.
Yeah.
Because really that's what that person might need to even get through the day. And that's unfortunate, right? Because there are people like that. They've just gone through some trauma or whatever. And that trauma keeps on going considerably, especially sleep paralysis, which is fascinating to me. I had an expert on sleep paralysis a few episodes ago, and wow. I could see why I'd want to call you if I had that, because just the things that are happening, you would think, oh my God, there's a demon, there's somebody, I need somebody to come in right now and get rid of them. And really, it's something that I would need to see a professional in the mental health field. So, and that's a tough one, right? It's a tough one to say no. I bet that would be tough to say to the person too. No, we can't do that, right? So.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just feel like it's best we leave that to people who have more experts in the field on their teams.
Right. Okay.
Or
but
can
you do
call
do
in those
something.
experts.
Yeah, you do something I think is super interesting. Is people can go on an investigation with both of you or the team. Explain how that works. So I'm going on your investigation. Rachel, I called you up. Jen, I called you up. Hey, I want to go to the jail with you. What do you tell me?
Yeah, bring it on.
Come on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that is our whole sort of mission as to why we wanted to start our own team. I think was because I think more so I think that Jen had the experience of coming along on investigations with me and was kind of like, well, I'm going along, but I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know all this, the tech terms, and like nobody's explaining anything to me. I'm just going on this investigation. Okay.
Right.
But what am I
What's the-
doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? I'm just standing here looking like a dork, come on.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like we thought this is something that's really needed in the paranormal
Absolutely.
industry, I guess you could say, or hobby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either one.
But it was just kind of like, why isn't anybody just giving a little bit of education?
Yeah.
Because we all started at one time or another in this field, a novice or just somebody who was a paranormal enthusiast who loved everything about the was like just really inspired, wanted to know more, wanted the education. And that's really what our mission is to bring people out on investigations, let them have a hands-on experience using the tools, let them gain their own evidence that they can walk away with, like say, I had this amazing experience, and believe me, last investigation, those girls will never forget their experiences. And they're all hooked. They're all like, when's the next one? Because we're going.
Wow.
So it really is kind of like, we also feel like, well, that's also empowering the next generation of ghost hunter paranormal investigators. It's like, it's the torch has to be at some point passed down, because I don't think we're going to have all the answers in our lifetime. So why not spread the knowledge?
Yeah. And let them know that it is a possibility to do that. Like I said, before I met Rachel, I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know that you could go on investigations and that there was even a paranormal community. So
there's a whole community of wonderful people that we
I've met some amazing people throughout my journey, and I'm just getting started. And it's just like, this is something, if this is something you're truly passionate about, like you can do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we're all together. I'm standing there, and you're going to say, "Hey, John, why don't you try?" What am I trying? What are you guys going to say to me, so I don't just stand there?
I think people, the ones that have joined us for investigation, kind of had an idea of what they wanted to do.
Oh, great.
Like they did a little bit of research beforehand, and I mean,
we provided them some information too ahead of time. We were like, this is what to expect when you investigate with
have an
us.
Agenda and guidelines, and give them history on the property and everything ahead of time, and
a map of the building, and so we really truly want to give them that, feel like it's a well-rounded experience, right? They're going to get the education, they're going to get the history, they're going to be able to get the hands-on, and really we're like, here's some tools, here's a K2 meter for you, here's a digital recorder for you,
dowsing rods for you, so
and then,
they just kind of,
and then we just walk them through, like, when why we're using it, what the kind of like response we're looking for from it, and I think they were kind of blown away by some of the stuff when they were doing Spirit Box and getting some amazing responses. Even ones that I think were heard audibly outside of the Spirit Box, but heard on the EVP along like side of the Spirit Box. So that was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. So if I scream like a little girl, you would not make fun of me if I get scared.
Hell no.
I'll remember
I think
that.
we all get scared at some point or another. I mean, you're sitting here walking around the dark, like, I mean, we're human.
absolutely.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like I'll respond like if I've said like before, I'm like, I'm sorry if I'm like, because I've had like experience like, oh my God, no way this is happening. And then I'll say, you know, because I'm like, oh, it's like just a person trying to communicate, even though I can't see them. It's like, you know, I talk to them like I'm a person. I'm so sorry I reacted like so crazily, but you know, it's pretty cool because we can't see you, but we heard you, or, you know, you made that loud bang and it scared us, but like you got the cat ball thrown at someone which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah.
Wow. So just
flew through the air with nobody else in the room. And we were all in the hallway and we saw it kind of whiz by him and he saw it whiz by him. And then it kind of like hit the wall, rolled out the room into the hallway. And then we saw it move by it. Then we saw it move by itself to continue to move by itself down the hallway. We were like, that really, I mean, it startled us, but you know, we were all kind of like,
we're like, okay, we're here. You got our attention. You got our attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
What is it? You know, we were kind of like, thank you. Cause like we're asking it. It's like, that's what I don't get sometimes about the shows is like, you're asking it for activity. You're asking it to make a bang, make a noise, throw something, say something, like, just let me know you're here in some way. And then they do it. And then people run out of the way. It's like, well, what are we here for? Didn't you just ask it to do all those things and then you run? So
if someone touches my butt, I'm definitely out. Even though that's flattery, and I'll pick out a flattery I can get. No, well, that's awesome. What's the price? Do you get charged? Charge people for this?
Yeah, we unfortunately, because we have to pay to go into a location. That's what we do is when we pay to go to a location, we're essentially just splitting the fee amongst all of us. And it just makes it easier for people to access locations that are can be quite pricey. I mean, being a paranormal investigator, this hobby is not cheap. It's not cheap at all.
I've heard that. Yeah.
You know, the equipment
price
is not
range?
cheap. You know, and you're continuously wanting it, but you know.
Yeah, the price range, it just
depends on the location.
I mean,
and how many people would go. But you know, anywhere from we try to keep it anywhere between like $50 to $100 a person to go. Yeah,
that's reasonable stuff, and I think that's something for my spooky friends. If they're in your area, when I put the episode out of all the links, so please, hey, take a chance, take a look at it, and you might, like Jen, say, fall in love with it and be like, maybe you got another team member, or maybe they have another team and then you guys work together. Who knows, right?
Yes,
now, there is one thing, Rachel, we need to talk about that you'll be able to offer that I'm totally in eventually. Is you can have beer on the tour, right? You're doing a brewery, so there you go. Put a beer, go out there. We
definitely do not drink on the tours.
No.
That's a whole nother thing. Hey, if I can open a haunted brewery, I would, in a heartbeat, be offering on my own property beer. But
so let's talk about that. You're gonna be having a brewery, correct?
Yeah, we've been working on it for the past. Now it's been 4 years, but we've been home brewers. That's my husband, his brother, so my brother-in-law, myself, and we have one other partner who actually is kind of more a silent partner in Delaware. But we've been working on coming up with a brewery here in the Nashville area.
Love it.
We hope to. It's called Dark Shadow Brewing. Is the name of the company. So of course it's all things spooky.
I love it. When you get some swag, Rachel, please send it my way.
I will. I've got swag. We've always got swag. That's what we do. We go and right now, all we can do is we make beer and we take it to the beer festivals in the area.
Nice.
And so all we can sell is merchandise. So we have t-shirts, cups, stickers, foam pops, that kind of thing. So,
well, if you want to send it my way, I'll definitely put your word out there. Anything I can do to promote the little guy against the big guy.
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, the hardest part is coming up with and finding people who, want to go and invest in a brewery. We call it, I actually have a whole program that's kind of like community supported agriculture, but we call it a community supported brewery. So really that the people who are in the community get a stake. They get to be part of the brewery as it's kind of up and coming. And so that's what we've been working on.
I love that. I will definitely do my everything to support, put it out there for you and everything.
Appreciate that.
To make sure, people get aware of that, because we need more of that, There's just such a limited thing, and that's a whole different podcast. But, okay, before we wrap up here, I have quick fire questions for both of you. I'm going to put you on the hot seat and get you both on the hot seat, okay?
Yep.
Okay. Jen, I'm starting with you. Ready?
Lord. Okay, yeah.
Bucket list. Okay?
Okay.
2 places that if you had the money, the time, where are you going to investigate?
Waverly Hills.
Ooh, out of the gate.
Yep. And the Winchester House, I think would be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we could actually investigate there.
Yeah.
I've been many times to the Winchester House, but not on an investigation. But they do amazing, haunted tours there.
Okay, Jen, I'm still staying with you.
Oh, okay.
A full body apparition. Who do you want to see? You can see anybody that, I'm going to say dead. Anybody that has passed that's going to appear in front of you. Who do you want to see? Who do you want to talk to?
My grandma.
Oh.
Yeah, my grandma.
Nobody famous? Not any presidents or like movie stars or like Marilyn Monroe?
No.
Marilyn Monroe is my thing. So.
No, I love my grandma. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
What's the silliest thing you've done on an investigation that was just silly?
Oh gosh. I don't know.
You don't know? Come on, you got to do something silly. Well, kind of when you heard the noise.
Maybe we had when we were at our last investigation at Old South Pittsburgh, we had a conversation going with one of the people that used to work there, Jim, and maybe continue to engage in inappropriate conversation with the spirit.
Old Jim.
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 Yeah, totally provoking him.
He was a ladies' guy back in the day. Come on, cool it down. We've changed, buddy. I love that. Okay, Rachel, hot seat. 2 places you want to investigate. You can anywhere in the world. Oh, I forgot to say anywhere in the world. I'm sorry. So, Jen, if you want to add on that one, you can add on that if you want to.
So I would say maybe Bram's Castle in Transylvania.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You did it.
That's definite.
I want to go to Transylvania. I would kill to go to Transylvania.
Yeah.
Literally kill.
That would be an amazing spot to go. I think if I were to say locally or within the United States, I'd probably say Trans-Allegheny.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, I know. It kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety, but that kind of fuels my fire, I guess.
You guys are sort of near the Missouri Penitentiary.
I've heard of that,
which they entitled 100 Acres of Blood. It's
Wow.
nasty. I mean, you got to be your A game from talking to other paranormal investigators. Always get something. Always.
Okay.
Every time they go in. So think about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Rachel. Then I got to say silliest thing.
Oh gosh. Like, I don't know. I think before the investigation, when we did when we were in the hotel room and took a picture of one of us passed out on the, like taking a pre-paranormal investigation nap with one of the investigators, and all the rest of us took a selfie
around her. I couldn't stop laughing. I was laughing so hard.
And then she said, "Thanks for putting it out there on social media." I had to.
I love that.
Her face wasn't in it.
No.
Okay. All right. I love it. You got to do that to break things up, because, you got to have fun too, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in that serious atmosphere where you don't know what's going to happen next, good or bad.
It was pretty interesting too. We were talking about, like, in a semi-break during the investigation, there was a whole drag show conversation that was going on.
Yep.
Who's the favorite drag show performers? And
who did the best read?
They went on and on and on.
They were going on and on and on. Yep.
Okay, Rachel, full body apparition. Oof. Anybody?
I don't know. I mean, I'd probably lean more towards like Jen and say both my grandmas would be amazing to see. I think that, yeah.
That's so sweet, but you're both wrong. What about Elvis? What about like George Washington? What about
still alive? What are you talking
Lincoln?
about?
Elvis lives. Elvis lives.
He's in a rest home in Iowa. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear these different answers, and that's so sweet of both of you.
It's true.
Really,
though. It's like, I don't know those famous people when you have a connection with somebody, a loved one. That's who you want to.
Right.
In my opinion. Anyway,
it's surprising neither one of you said the White House, because the White House is extremely haunted. Like,
but they're not going to let you investigate there.
Well, yeah, that's true. They're not going to. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Unless I was like the president or something.
You never know. President of Paranormal. I love it. So what do you have coming up for my spooky friends? What can they look forward to?
Ooh, we've got some good things coming up.
All right.
We're going back to Old Stone jail. So we're going back on September 28th.
Yep.
That's Franklin, Kentucky, and we actually get to investigate 2 buildings. So it's kind of like we feel like a 2-for-1 kind of price, which is kind of cool. Both are very active. So we're excited to go back because of our experiences last time we were there. I think that was we're doing that. Awesome. And then on in November 2nd, we're collaborating with Memphis Ghost Hunters. And we're going to do, they actually own a cemetery. So on November 2nd is the Day of the Dead. And we're going to do a Day of the Dead campout investigation at the cemetery. So we're going to do a collaborative event there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And again, I'd scream like a little girl. I'm not afraid to admit it. You guys would be chasing me. John, come back. Screw you guys. I'm waiting in the car. That's awesome. So thank you so much. I could talk to you both for hours. This was amazing.
Aww, thank you.
I love it. You guys are wonderful. I'd love to have you back on the show. I've been talking to all my paranormal investigators around October, maybe doing a roundtable or something, talking about some different discussions, talking about things, I'm putting it out there. Hopefully we can make it work. I do have a special thing I do have coming up that I want to tell my audience in October. I do have a medium who is going to go to a haunted location and try to bring forth a ghost, which I am excited about. She said she doesn't know how it's going to work, but I've had her on the show first, and she's saying sometimes it works. Sometimes we see some people show up and everything, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Nice.
ooh,
That
could
sounds
be fun.
exciting.
It's not
Yeah. So anyway,
neat.
yeah, yeah. Again, like I said, thank you so much for giving your time today. I love both
thank
you.
you,
You
John.
guys are great. I always love hearing so many paranormal investigators have so many great stories, and definitely you delivered on that. So, like I said, I'll be in touch, and hopefully we can have you back on the show, and maybe in October do some spooky stuff. So,
We'd love that.
No, you would love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
you.
Before we end the show, we just do two quick things. We say hi to your ghost. Hello, ghost. Because you never know. You might have a
Hello.
ghost in your house. You want to be friendly. And stay spooky. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.